how to observe, how to look, and we've looked at the key core principles of giving feedback, of how did you do well, what you thought you did well, what they think we could do better next time, what you think we could do better next time, and the take-home message. If you notice, even though I didn't say, this is the, what did you do well, this, I did do it of a sort, where I said, what do you think was good for you there, what do you think was, I thought this was, what do you think you could have done next time, I think you could have done better, could have done anything better, that's why we always ask it, and then I think this is what we could have done better. The take-home message was safe. And have a key core common terms that gives you some basis in order to actually work. So, what was your question of them that these guys are doing? What was your statement? You say time management. Yeah. So you've got a trainee who've tried something 3 or 4 times, and how do you manage it? Well, if somebody's tried something 3 or 4 times, that's 2 or 3 times too many. You understand what I'm saying? So if somebody has tried something and it's failed, and you're doing your job correctly as a trainer, then they come back and say, stop. What did you do then? Then they'll tell you what they have to deconstruct what they did. Okay. So then you'll say, right, and this comes back to the conscious competence. You know, what would you have done then yourself? What I would have done, I would have held the scope here and I would have applied this amount of torque. So I'd say to the trainee, put your thumb at 8 o'clock, hold the scope, and rotate your thumb while holding the scope to 12 o'clock. Bring this scope here on the hilt and just point the buttons towards the screen. Now slowly advance the scope, 2 centimeters, stop. Slowly draw the big wheel back, stop. And then you've got it. If you've not touched the scope, away you go. How does that make you feel? Great. Off you go. If it fails then, with the second one, and he still doesn't get round, then we start getting into realms of, has this person got the technical skill to do so? So you might then want to actually physically interfere. Sounds dodgy. But what you do then is that you come around and say, the posture's wrong. Let's bring this here, touch this here, touch that there. So in enabling you to do that before any test, if you remember back to 2017, you might not remember this, but I always say to the trainees, I may touch you. I may touch your shoulders. I used to, sadly when I first got, am I allowed to touch the ladies? Yes, because touching the shoulder, I don't know what's a no-no. So I would then say, someone told me that I might touch, so I'd kick your heel. If I kick the back of your heel, I want that foot to go forward. If I then put your foot here, I want that foot to come back, because that opens up your stance. So what you need to do is, what would I do to get round that bend? If you don't know how to get around that bend, then you haven't got conscious competence to teach. Because if you don't know how to get, if you're unconscious but still able to get around the bend, how can you teach it? Because you don't know how to break it down. You don't know how to deconstruct it. That's why in training it comes round to here, where you're consciously competent. Yeah. So now you see where it comes from this morning, where we're trying to get you to think, now, oh, penny drops. Time management. This is where, right at the beginning, you align your agenda. Outside, when you were out there, you two together, I didn't hear the use of the word stop. I didn't hear the use of the word time. I'll give you so many minutes to do this procedure. So these are the things you need to introduce, time management. If he doesn't agree, you'll say that's the way it's going to be, or it's not going to be at all. Because you have to then show that you're actually in control. You're in control. What was happening in there is that you weren't demonstrating in a way that you're in control and responsible. So you need to be in control. And that's what it has to do. So time management is easy, because you agree right at the beginning. If the person then says something, you say, hold it, stop. At the beginning, didn't we discuss this? Yes. Dear will tell you, UK, I was very strict. Oh, I think I'm nice.
This is what I was telling him a few minutes ago. In fall is different.
I'm nice. So, questions. This leads nicely into what I'm saying. Do I know what the problem is? Okay, that's what you're saying. If I do, I can go on. Do I know the solution? If I do, I can go on. Are my instructions clear or correct? I have been known to say, am I speaking pidgin English? Am I speaking to someone on Mars? You know, does the trainee understand my instructions? This is where I was disappointed with myself the other day, when I said if I spoke Urdu, he could have done that. Easy. I was disappointed with myself. He couldn't understand my instructions because I couldn't speak Urdu. He couldn't understand the English. Normally, I would have somebody who could speak better English and obviously Urdu, better English than what the chap would do. Did the trainee carry out my instructions exactly as agreed? If they don't, they're in breach of contract. You've made a learning contract. If they don't stick to the contract, they're in breach of it. Is the technical challenge beyond the competence? And if so, take over. Right? That's right at the end. However, do I, me, trainer, know it? But if I don't, take over. Do I know the solution? If I don't, take over. I can't answer this, I can only do it, sorry. That is the difficult thing, because as a person who's supporting a trainee, for you then to admit, I don't know what the answer is, but I just know how to do it. That's hard. I can't explain it. I don't know how to explain it, but this is what you should do. The instructions exactly as agreed. That's a bit of a fault of you, because you're managing the guidance and you're managing, in effect, the response. So you've got to control it. A lot of the time, you don't carry out the instructions as agreed because they're moving quickly, not slowly. The trick to it, the biggest thing, the tip for whatever you're going to do in colonoscopy, keep an eye on the air-water button, because hovering over it will actually cause it to blow. And keep an eye on where the person is stood, because that then will actually change the orientation of the scope. And the technical challenge. No harm in the technical challenge being beyond the trainee, as long as at the end of it you spend time to talk to them and explain. So a trainee, if they've done 5 colons, might not get an internal eyelid if you give them the scope in the ceiling. Might not be able to get out of a sigmoid colon, but they won't. But that's, you know that. So before we actually go through that scenario, what we need to do is get the person to stop, making the patient pull back, deflate. That makes the procedure safe now. Now we can discuss with the trainee the options and go through that list. Now we can offer some instructions, some guidance, some support. It says instructions. I like guidance and support. Attempt to overcome the challenge again. Maximum of 3 attempts. Maximum. And that's what you agree before you do the procedure. The series can be repeated once you've gone a little bit further. So that series of steps, they failed to negotiate the sigmoid colon. Okay, stop, pull back, deflate. Then you discuss, attempt again. Okay, stop, deflate, this is what we'll do this time. So you stop, deflate, you nearly did it, so it's up to you then whether you actually say, try this instead, or increase this instead. Or actually just hold them, I'm going to help your hands this time. If that doesn't work, then you go in time to take over, because it's beyond the skill level of that trainee at that time. You're not hurting the person by saying it, you'll just say, shall I demonstrate it to you? So I will always say, shall I demonstrate it to you? What that clearly and categorically means in my language is give me the scope and no eye. But you agree that before you start. preparation, assessment, alignment agenda, training. Set your objectives for training, ground rules. So we've already gone through it. Start, this is what we're going to do, 3 attempts maximum. First attempt, you, second attempt, I'll give you some instructions. Close supportive observation, if you wish to use a fancy term. And then, on the third attempt, I might actually put hands on with you. If that fails, then I may have to take over. You have to make the judgment because they may nearly have been successful. And it's just something. This is the most important thing. Be clear as to common terms. Be consistent, to be fair. Be concise, avoid flooding. Common, regular terms being used. Performance enhancing feedback. We go back to what I said when we see it, where we're actually saying, what did you do well? I'll tell you what I think you did well. What could you have improved on? I'll tell you what you could have improved on. And a take-home message. Take-home message should be concise, should be constructive, should be achievable, smart, measurable, achievable. Yeah? What does R stand for? Smart.
Smart.
Achievable.
Measurable.
Measurable.
Achievable.
Achievable.
Relevant.
Relevant.
Timely.
Timely.
Economical.
Economic.
Smarter. R.
He did train the trainer. Realistic.
Realistic.
Physical. So you've got the set. This is the environment. You've got your actual preset before you actually get to take the trainee in. So you use reflection. The trainee to reflect on their experiences to help you then with the dialogue. You use reflection again within the dialogue to actually make it achieve all of this. So the set is that in the pre-assessment, what's your user experience? What are your objectives? Are they realistic? It's your job to make them realistic. This man said to you, he's done so many, he wants to get to SIAG. I asked him to say that. I was hoping you were going to say, you may have only done 3 or 4 procedures at the moment. Getting to the SIAG might not be today. Today is maybe just an exercise where we'll focus heavily on getting you through the sigmoid. If things go well, we'll never know. But let's focus on this bit first. Get the foundation in. Everything's about putting the foundation in. So that, saying him to say, I want to get the SIAG, that's unrealistic. When you're looking at smart, you're looking at being realistic.
So may I ask?
Yeah, sure.
So one thing, if we set an agenda that, like in that case, CCAM is not your,
Yeah.
this is not our target. I believe that the negotiation of sigmoid colon is our target for today. And when we achieve it with time limit, but it's going to, the time is going to pass, then should I take it for the time?
Right. If I look at it like this, if a trainee negotiates, the target at the moment, he's done 5. He gets through the sigmoid in 5 minutes. You're doing fine, man. Crack on. Okay. I'm not going to take this go. Oh, fine. Well, you've agreed that. You know, crack on. Let's see how far else we can go. See what else we can do. Keep your hair down, hair down, hair down. Advance. Now, to look at your watch again. After 25 minutes, if they're still at the splenic flexor or distal transverse, he's not going to feel upset because you've agreed what you agreed to do and you allow him to go a little bit further.
Right. So he should. Yeah.
If he comes to his time limit and he hasn't been able to achieve it, it's then how do you actually deconstruct the experience for him that he goes away feeling positive, not going away like you're going to kill him. Educational contract. Again, you've got your physical and verbal set. This is all here. So preparation, assessment. You're assessing the individual. Okay, how many procedures have you done? How many procedures have you done? I've done 100,000. So when you're looking at this, it's how the person, your assessment isn't just listen to what they're saying, your assessment is taking on what this is telling you. Remember? When you're walking bird, etc. Listen to what's happening. See what's happening. Take on board. There's a lot of people who exaggerate, and you can tell by the body posture, I'm not too convinced. Never mind, let's see. Dialogue. Same thing. You set the ground rules. That's your educational contract. An educational contract aligning your agendas. What you think you can offer him and what he thinks you're going to allow him to do. Set the objectives. Smart. Ground rules. Very important. When I say stop, I mean stop. Clear, consistent, concise, common language. Going back to the dialogue, which goes into here. Performance enhancing. Dual tasking, we did this right at the beginning. 50,000 divided by, tell me the time please. What day is it? Too much information, information overload, flooding. Summarise. Feedback, take on message. This is after the procedure. You can even do that during the procedure. Take on message isn't a message completely at the end. Take on messages, stop. Yeah, they may have done something really well. Stabilise the scope, stop, pause, deflate, draw back, relax. Excellent. What did you do then? Get them to reflect on it. That's then when you start to get them to understand what they did. So they are remaining conscious for the next time you come. I managed to get round, but I don't know how I got round. That's the common thing you hear from trainees. If you get them to stop after they've done that procedure, that particular practice, got through that sigmoid, get them to reflect, they'll remember. Then they can move on. So take home message isn't necessarily at the end. It can be in the middle. Right at the end, you'll use the take home message and during what did you do well? I thought you did really well, especially when you pause, stopped, and then you reflect, and then you can get them to reflect on their experience. It does it. Normally what happens is, they've done it, they reflect, they manage to get further on, I got all the way around. Okay? Yeah. What about the moment I got you to stop and reflect? Yeah, but I got all the way around. What was the most important thing? Well, getting all the way around. It's not. The fact is that you had a straight scope after you come out of the signal, descending call, and therefore it didn't loop later on and didn't interfere with you getting in. You've got to bring them back to reality. Bring them back to the fact of what you did really well and what you later on helped you to do even better. So you put it all together. Preparation, assessment, align agendas, educational contract, reflect. A lot of stuff going on here. But this is the new bit. You check for understanding. So today, if you've noticed or haven't noticed, I know you've noticed because you go, well, you're doing it again. So I'll come up to you and I'll say to you, right, I check for understanding. Yeah? I look over this direction and then conversation because I know that understanding hasn't been 100%. So I'm always checking for understanding, comprehension. So check for understanding. So, to conclude, physical and verbal set. That's your responsibility. Assessment, that's of the trainee, of their abilities and your own abilities. Align your agenda, the trainee and the trainer. Have I got the right skill set to support this guy with what he wants to do at this moment in time? If I haven't, should I be here? Have I got the right skill set to support this guy in doing what he needs to do at this time? Contract. Without that, you're toothless. Other than that, all you are is going to say, stop, right, let me take over. With an educational contract, you've met, you've discussed, and the person understands that this is the limit of the contract because you've done it. They've agreed. So if there's an issue, there's no issue because they've agreed.
Aren't they both same things, aligning agendas of trainer and the trainer?
Yeah.
They both have the same things,
They're
educational contract.
basically the same thing.
Yeah.
Aligning the agenda, make the educational contract,
Ground rules as well.
Ground rules. Ground rules are slightly different. Ground rules are, when I say stop, I mean stop. Would you like me to demonstrate? Please give me the scope. I don't want to embarrass you by saying, give me the scope. All these type of things. I also say to a trainee, is that if I'll stand close to you while you're starting. I'm looking around. If I walk away from you, don't be alarmed. Okay? Now, the reason why I walk away is that I'm giving you more room, I'm giving you more responsibility. You don't need me watching you over your shoulder. You're then feeling I can take more responsibility. What I can't do here, but what I do in the UK, I will never put a pair of gloves on till the moment is that I have to go anywhere near the scope, ever. Because the trainee feels protected that you're not going to take the scope over while you've got no gloves on. Tech guys here insist that I wear gloves. I've got no issue with that.
Sorry, I couldn't get the point of educational content.
Education contract, no problem.
During the procedure.
Right, before the procedure, you know when you were stood outside talking, you were telling him your experiences, you were telling him what you wanted to achieve, you were telling him what you've done in the past. He then comes back to you thinking about, right, you've done this, you must do this, do that. Okay, and you just let it go over his head and say, right, you proceed to see him and just track on and whole days will grow. The fact is that I will be there turning around to you and saying, how many are you going to talk to? Oh, 5, okay. You might find it difficult today to get to this evening. Most importantly, we need to see with a straight scope a signal. With a little bit of support and guidance, that might be possible. What I want you to do is be slow, use as little air as possible, enough just to see where you're going. Is that okay? So this is why we're building up the contract. Once you start nodding and agreeing, we've got a contract. And then you summarise. Remember I said summarise. You're summarising the contract. So what we're going to do is this. Should we, it's 30 minutes in total time, and should we get to a point where the time is up, regardless where you are, someone's going to take over. Okay? Any questions? From anybody? No? Right. I aim to finish at 12, so we'll 5 to. What about that for time management? So all I'd like to say is, this afternoon, how it's going to work is 6 patients. The not internal, but closest candidate knows that we'll be doing colonoscopy with them maybe on another day, so it doesn't matter. So that's right, isn't it? So the 3 guys who've come, you're going to get 2 patients each. Right? Now, 2 patients each doesn't mean that, hey, you've got 2 patients. What we're going to do is give you a trainee. You'll find out about the patient. So how I would do it, find out about the patient first. With the trainee, check everything's sorted. Find out what the trainee's abilities are, what their aims and objectives are for the procedure. Have a look at what the patient's symptoms are, see what you think is appropriate. You've got 30 minutes. What we'll do, we'll sit you here with one of the trainees, didn't tell these guys this, now they're going to find out. Trainee will sit here, you will sit here. I'll put the order up and we're going to go in a moment. You will then, I'll put up there what you should be doing, remember? So you should be, what went well, I think went well, do you think could have done better? Blah, blah. Okay. You're going to, that's at the end, so you'll be back here for that. What will happen is you'll line your agendas and give you 5 minutes for that. Then you go to the room. One of us, Sasson or I, will be with you. And then we'll be whispering in your ear maybe what you should be doing. Maybe asking you to, you might find a better view if you stood there. You might find a better angle of what is actually going wrong if you stood here. If you're passive, one of us will actually interject. and say, direct you exactly what to do. Okay? It's all about being safe. Come 30 minutes, we'll say time up and out. So the trainee and you will leave the room and somebody else will take over and finish the procedure. Don't worry about the procedure will be watched all the time. So you've got 30 minutes from when you enter the room. That doesn't mean, right, come on, crack on. That means going in, set, making sure your environment's correct, all this type of things. Introducing yourself to the tech guys, nurses, introducing yourself to the patient, making sure that the trainee has done all that, making sure that everything's safe, understanding what sedation has been given, looking at the monitor, is everything in a position that makes you feel that you're giving you the best advantage in supporting that individual through this experience. And we'll be watching you in here as well. When you feed back in here, the trainer who's with you will sit to one side and you will then give your feedback. The trainee is going to give you their feedback about your feedback. And then we as a group are going to give feedback to you about your feedback.
So, during that 30 minutes, we have to discuss with the trainee before starting and entering into the room. We will discuss the trainee regarding their agenda.
You will have the trainee here.
Initially.
So no one will sit here.
Yeah. Initially.
You would sit here.
Yeah. And we'll
You'll
discuss.
say right.
Yeah. Or just educational contract.
You're going to enter into an educational contract with both.
Yeah.
And you're going to introduce yourselves as you feel comfortable. So, and all this stuff, how you want to be called. Now, I do agree with professional terms in front of patients. It's just me. I don't mind professionals, but I'm always been informal. All my patients call me Paul, so I don't give them monkeys if it costs me more. You guys, I've got no problem. I understand, and I do understand that patients feel comfortable by calling you this. That's not a problem. I ain't got an issue. Just because I chose to detitle you, that's because you sat there at this moment in time, and I need you to work together. I need you to actually feel that there's no difference between you. You may have these titles. Titles mean nothing to me, so you're just working together at the moment. And what I do, titles means nothing to me when it comes to a trainee. So, but it does mean how I am respectful to whoever but if you're crap and you tell me something wrong, I'm going to chew you up and stick you out for breakfast. Okay? Happy? Anything we need to go through? No? How's that? Perfect. What could I have done better? I think I did okay, but I think my early needs to improve. See, she's not entering into performance enhancing feedback, is she? Where we're looking, what I think I could have done, what I think I did well is that. So she thinks it's quite clear.
She needs to ask you why do you feel that you were not at that? What you could have done better?
You see what I'm doing? Now it's
You could have done better.
slow down. I get excited. I do. I see.
Take home messages.
So what's my take on this? Slow down. I just get excited. Stop.
Stop. Don't get excited.
You see, even when you, whatever you do, I don't care who actually has a comment. I care what the comment is. I don't care what, as long as the comment is appropriate, I don't care who has a comment. I don't care. If that domestic said to me, Paul, I didn't like what you did then, I'll say, what was that? I know that from outside. If that domestic said to me, that was good, what was good? Oh, really? Thank you. See, it doesn't matter what the comment is or who makes the comment. And that's what you should be thinking of. When you've got a trainee with you, that trainee could be a lot senior to you. Doesn't matter. I mean, I played devil's advocate. I had one of the great gastroenterologists of the UK. came on a trainer course in the UK, was sent on it because his performance. And he was going to be stopped doing endoscopy that would then affect his research, all this type of stuff. And on that trainer course, I gave him a third-year registrar as his assessor. I'm a bugger, but that's about it. So, level. Just because you're a whale monster in the world of gastroenterology in the UK doesn't mean that you know. He's forgotten. It's very easy when you climb up, you forget these principles. You know, as somebody quite rightly pointed out, when you guys were coming through, when you were writing your papers, you wrote your objectives, and you also wrote your aims. So you knew then what an objective was and what an aim was. But come today, you're struggling with knowing what the difference between an objective and an aim was. So what I'm trying to highlight is that sometimes what was important then is no longer a priority in your life. So you don't pay it the same notice. You've heard me ramble on enough, that's it. So we will be starting. Are we...
Sorry?
Is they having lunch?
Yeah, they're having lunch, but at 1.
One? So what do you want to do?
So I think we can start with the first one procedure.
Okay, not a problem. Happy?
Yeah.
Right, what order shall we run it in?
So I think
Just numbering,
we'll
so I
be
don't have to
doing
repeat.
later on, cases later on. Or?
Sorry?
So we'll be just concentrating on 3 candidates
Yeah.
right now. We'll be doing cases later on, so it's just going to be Ali, Imran, and Abbas.
So do you know who's 1, do you know who's 2? 1, 2, 3. Yeah? Happy with that? So,
Right, 4 as well.
4. Now you've got your own day.
It's okay. Thank you.
Right. At the risk of this taking a long time, you 3 sit down and decide the order.
Yeah. Side, but it's cycle for color direction.
Go on.
Together, decide now.
You got 2 minutes.
So I'll tell you one thing. So when we are taking the trainee in, expected, not is just around, is it expected from the trainee to look after everything like equipment and all, and he's supposed to just...
The trainer, after they align their objectives, if the trainee is of a certain level, he's going to say, I'm going to give you my own share of the rules. Whereas if you have to be given anything,
So that's also going to be a part of your contract. Actually.
I need someone who's a lot less experienced than these guys.
Yes.
These are 400 or 500.
Oh, that's not.
Someone who's a lot less experienced. Come on, chaps.
2 minutes are up.
So we know who's 1, we know who's 2, we know who's 3. Who wants to go first? Who is going first?
Would you like to do it first?
So why are you going first?
Because
You knew that was coming.
because everybody is saying his first, so you
Oh, everybody's saying he's first.
Now I will go at last.
That's right. He didn't want to go that. So which one of you two will go first? He's only going first because you guys say, I'm not going to. I'm not going to.
He's senior than us.
Right, I think he's had an advantage because he's been here 2 days already, hasn't he? Don't look so serious. I'm trying to be. So he's been here for 2 days before. So does that give him an advantage because he's seen the place of call on schools? He has as well. He's close and will come back. So shall we send him first? No, don't want you to say. No, tell him. Tell him.
both are very happy to tell.
Tell him your first. Who's second?
No, that's okay.
क्या आपने चले नहीं आप
Now you've decided to pick in order, as one would say. Let me let you know, the first one up, we're a little bit nice to. The second one up, we're a little bit more difficult with. The third one up, you should know it by now. Only messing with it. He's now worried. He doesn't believe me. Look, set, body, costume. I've done 150,000. No. You've got to enjoy your learning. You've got to enjoy your opportunity. Right. So, with you, the reason why I'm doing it this way is just then to turn around and say, right, who's with you first? So, you know me really well. You don't know Sasha?
Do you know me?
Yes, very.
Who do you know best? Who do you know best? Sasha or me?
Which one is best?
No.
No. किसको ज़्यादा अच्छा जानते हो?
Your side.
Okay. You get me.
you should have
What is it?
you should have told earlier what is the reason of asking this
What is
question.
Next time, when you're doing a learning contract, you'll say, don't understand. Everybody says it to me. There's always a catch to it. We'll alternate from this point on. Alright. What we'll do at the end of this, we'll get someone just to write down, either here or there, what you're learning from tonight, your take-home message. That you gave to your take-home message. So then when you go on for your next procedure, so your first procedure is here. So what your take-home message, your second procedure is there. We'll write down here what we think your take-home message is. What your feedback is. Happy? Okay, I don't know how we want to change them, and I think they'll get changed or
So you'll be okay with just wearing round, or you would like to change it to cross? Rounds are fine? They're fine. क्या वो?
ये क्या कहा है इन्होंने?
ये डॉट का वो आपको एंड में पूछेंगे कि आपका टेक होम मैसेज क्या है और क्या
हर procedure में।
हाँ जी वो पहले ये जाएंगे उसके बाद वो जाएंगे आखिर में तो
Is he feeling sorry for you already?
He's just asking the sequence and the thing that you want.
So what we're going to do here is that the first column will be what you agreed to do with the training. So we've got something to refresh our minds. When you come back in, we'll say, right, this is what you agreed. So you know your feedback. This column here is going to be your take-home message. This column here, what you agreed with the trainee, your take-home message. Yours is going to be what you agreed with the trainee, your take-home message. And then down here, because we've got all that done, we will then condensate it down here. Hold on. Okay? Look happy. Right, so who's the trainee up first, do you think? Nova? Okay.
So they will discuss all these things over there and we will just watch.
So do you want them all to go to that room
No,
or
yeah.
they'll watch here?
Yeah. So what will happen is Sasha will stay in here, I'll go in there with them two, they'll have agreed their contract, then we'll walk down there when the patient's all ready. Then as we go along, Sasha will, if you've got questions, ask. It's actually harder in here than what it is in there. So I was quite pleased that it's harder in here than it is in there. Because you're trying to say, oh look, he's trying to do this, he's trying to do that.
एक मिनट में आप ब्रीफ कर देंगे वो जो ट्रेनिंग के साथ एजेंडा एजुकेशनल कॉन्टैक्ट क्या क्या स्टेप्स
उसके बाद उसके असेसमेंट के लिए बहुत जरूरी है कि आपको क्या क्या किया है क्या लेवल है और उसके बाद से पूछो तो उसका क्या ऑब्जेक्टिव है आज के दिन का उसका क्या एजेंडा है एंड देन उस असेसमेंट उसके हिसाब से you agree with him or you do not agree with him, और जो उसका जो टारगेट है वो आपका भी टारगेट आप एग्री करते हो या उससे कोई कम टारगेट रख के आपने दोनों ने अलाइन करना है, ठीक है। और उसके बाद फिर उसको अलाइन आफ्टर उसके फिर आपने उसको उतना बताना है कि भाई अगर मैं कहूँगा कि और टाइम लिमिट आपने देना उसको ये बताना है कि अगर मैं कहता हूँ स्टॉक ग्राउंड आपने सेट करना है, स्टॉक का मतलब स्टॉक है, फीस का मतलब फीस है, अगर मैं तुम्हें कहता हूँ तो रुक के लिए अगर रिले नहीं किया तो भाई आपस को याद आती है। So you have to have be all the same.
I got you a certificate. That's just sent you on metal.
उसमें अब आपको तीनों चीज़ें देखनी है, आपने सेट देखना है पूरा, आपने अपना वो देखना है टारगेट लगाना, उसके बाद आप असेसमेंट करेंगे फैक्टर हुआ, ये तीन चीज़ें याद हैं उसमें।
Yes, darling.
ठीक है,
Yes, darling, I can hear you.
हार्ड कॉपी जब आप घर जाओगे तो चलेगा, अभी तो जो आपके दिमाग में जो प्रिंट हुआ है हार्ड कॉपी वो आप इस्तेमाल करते हैं, ठीक है।
एक्चुअली आसान सी चीज़ ये है कि आप अपना इंट्रोडक्शन पहले करा देंगे,
वो आप करते हो
फिर उसका कर ये नहीं कर
Yes.
कोई नई चीज़ नहीं है, सिर्फ ये सिस्टमेटिकली कर रहे हैं, जो भी आता है।
Oh, excellent.
वर्ड्स भी आपने उसमें बताने हैं उसको, मैं आपको ये डायरेक्ट करूँगा तो आपने ये करना है, और ग्राउंड रूल्स भी कुछ सेट होने चाहिए।
सिर्फ हम लोग ये करते नहीं है, ये जो है यानी आपने उससे पूछ लिया कि आप क्या चाहते हो आज करना, और आपने उससे पूछ लिया कि आपकी असेसमेंट में ये करना क्या
जैसे
हुआ।
आपने उसको कहा जो मैंने सीखा पहुँचना है, उसने आपसे पूछा कि क्यों अभी तक क्यों प्रॉब्लम हो रहा है, तो आपने बताया तो अब आपका
You need
टारगेट
to
क्या
ask
होगा,
Sasha when
सीखा
she's
पहुँचना
in.
नहीं
I'll have your tour in the moment, and you can ask.
Yeah, I'll
Okay?
take you through how to go through the master's school.
Straight,
Yeah,
with the
straight away,
straight.
with a straight, without calling discomfort, without
Yes,
calling
darling.
pain. So that is your agenda for that day.
Oh,
उस एजेंडा में अगर उसको कोई प्रॉब्लम
You have to tell Sab to
पहले
that.
आपने उसको स्टॉप करके
She'll be on
करना है,
to-
उसको
come
क्लीन
to
करो, रिप्लेस करो और फुल राइट करो, विथड्रॉ करो, एंड वर्ड्स टर्मिनोलॉजीज आपको देखनी है, और पेशेंट कम्स यू हैव टू सी द ट्रेनर जहाँ पे पूरी इन्वॉल्वमेंट देखना, इट्स नॉट जस्ट व्हाट ट्रेनी इज डूइंग, it's looking at the patient's monitor, it's looking at the patient himself, it's looking at actual text who is standing there, what you
Oh dear.
It's the whole thing. जो आप सारा करते हो, लेकिन उसको अपने आप
Does she want
consciously
to-
wake up
something?
करेगा।
चीज़ बताना है कि ये जो ये सारे कॉमन टर्मिनोलॉजी है वो भी एक्सप्लेन करेंगे ना, बिकॉज यहाँ हम
आप कहेंगे कि अगर
ये
आपको राइट
चीज़ें
करना है, क्लॉकवाइज टॉक करना है,
आप
तो
ये
क्लॉकवाइज
बता
कहूँगा,
दो,
एंटी क्लॉकवाइज कहूँगा, का मतलब ये है कि आप यूँ
मैंने थोड़ा सा टाइम यहाँ पे लगा कि ये चीज़ें
नहीं, वो दैट डिपेंड्स कि अगर आपका कैंडिडेट आपको कह रहा है कि मैंने 100 कोलोनोस्कोपी की है, तो उसको क्लॉकवाइज एंटी क्लॉकवाइज पता होगा, तो मैंने 2 कोलोनोस्कोपी की हैं, और आप मुझे सिखा रहे हो, मुझे बताओगे कि भाई इसको तुम्हें पता है ना, टिप अप कैसे करोगे, बिग फॉरवर्ड करोगे, टिप अप होगा, बिग डाउन होगा, उस सिनेरियो पे डिपेंड करता है, इट्स नॉट द सेम फॉर एवरीवन, ईच ऑफ योर कैंडिडेट who's coming to you is different, so then you have to assess what level they are, and then accordingly you can take that. If somebody has done 150, then you expect them to know what the setup of the room is going to be, how the scope should be, what the equipment is going to be like.
Okay? Happy? Have I done it? Everything clarified?
Yes.
No? Come forward. Bring your chair. Look at me.
Start, you know what to do.
सामने डॉक्टर गुलाम अब्बास, आपका नाम?
डॉक्टर नूर
तो आज हम प्रोसीजर करे जा रहे हैं कोलोनोस्कोपी, तो आप अपने बारे में कुछ बताएंगे? यस, वर्किंग एक्सपीरियंस। यस
I have done my 5 years of training. The first 2 years of training in core medicine was done at Civil Hospital. Afterwards, I joined gastroenterology initially in the African National Hospital, where I worked for 4 months. Afterwards, I joined training in African Hospital. I've been working there. I worked there for 3 years. During my training, I have covered around 250 to 300 procedures.
how many colonoscopies?
I've done around 150 colonoscopies, and the remaining I've done endoscopy.
Are you in touch nowadays?
Yes.
How long?
After a 1-year hiatus, I've been doing 6 months of work in surgical floors for the hospital, and
what's your agenda for today?
My agenda today is I would like to know how to navigate my way through the coding and be articulate about it. Like basically, if I find that there's a bend, I want to understand that what is the technicality and the language in which I can actually negotiate the scope out of a difficult situation. So that's
So, do you need SECM easily?
yes. I wouldn't say easily, it depends on patient to patient, but majority of the time I always do the business.
Can we say more than 90% or less than 90%?
More than
More than 90%. So that's good. You're well experienced. We will be having 30 minutes for this procedure.
Okay.
And during this procedure, we will be using a few terminology. And as you are well experienced, hopefully you will be understanding that, like tip up, tip down, and clockwise, and definitely you are not at the beginner level. And you have to cooperate with me when I will be saying stop. So you have to stop over there, and because patient safety is a priority, and in this way, and I will be giving you the maximum time. But we will be you will feel difficulty, and you will be sticking over there. I will be helping you with the maneuvering, and I will be allowing for the 3 attempts. If you couldn't be successful, then I will be taking the scope.
Okay.
Any problem?
Not at all. Thank you for explaining.
So if you were to do that type of contract in front of with this candidate before every procedure, or if another candidate was there, you had 2 or 3, how long is that going to take in total?
5 minutes?
Nope, that's going to take you 22 minutes. Add it all together, that took 7 minutes, so 22 minutes. So Novel had already told you before that what an experience was. You then got to repeat it in this scenario. So I'm already aware. That then makes her think, oh, right, he's already aware. So I'm already aware of what you've done, and it's quite impressive, really. But what is it you actually want to get? So that's what the question is. So no, I'm already aware of what you've achieved, and impressive, really. What is it you actually specifically need from me today?
I think from the presentation that we discussed, it's conscious competence and unconscious competence.
So what do you mean by that?
What I would want to understand from my trainer is that if I am doing something that you feel is correct or even incorrect, I would like it to be explained to me that.
Okay. So let's stop you there for a moment.
Yeah.
You don't mind me using the word stop, do you?
No.
Okay, because I might use it during the procedure.
Yeah.
Well, if I stop you at the moment and just ask you to pause when you're going along and get you then to reflect on what you've done, or would that suit what you wanted to do today?
I can perfectly.
So you're happy with me saying you're progressing nicely, and then when it's safe to do so, say stop, pause. Now I use the word stop because it just gets you to freeze at that point, so we can point maybe something out with your hands. Why did they end up in this way? But pause, you can relax, and then we'll just go. But if you kindly take the air down a little bit, just let the scope relax, and then we'll discuss. And then I want to hear from you what you've done to get around, because if that's your main objective to understand, the best way it can be is when you've achieved something difficult. So when you're actually doing something difficult, I'm going to shut up. Let's see how you get on. If I need to interject, I may do. You will know. How does that feel for you?
I think that sounds right. Perfect.
So we know what we're going to do. I've actually stopped 5. And we're not going to last this longer than 30 minutes. Hopefully we'll be able to complete the procedure, but don't worry if we can't. And then we'll come back and then we'll have a discussion. Cut it quick, keep it down. Pay the trainee respect if you already know something about the training. I know you don't know. First one up, this is the layout. You already know these guys have come forward and introduced themselves. If you have forgotten, you've got time now to question him before he comes up, so you don't get me out saying the same thing. You now know what our experience is, so you know when it comes to your turn that you know what it is and you know where you're going. The other thing is that you've got to match it with your abilities. Do you think you've got the abilities to support this candidate with what our aim and objective is for today? If not, should you be the person that's doing it? You're in charge.
Does he have to tell her that at the end he needs her feedback?
Yes.
Right.
Oh no, this is just for this course. But what you would do as a trainer anyway, if you're honest and true to yourself, you'd say, when you say to them, how do you feel about that? That's them giving you feedback about you.
So is it necessary to tell the candidate in the beginning or just ask at the end?
At the end, because then they'll feel, so because you've got a cultural difference over here, some people may be focusing on that, oh my God, he's going to ask me this, oh my God, he's going to ask me this. You know, please. So I tend not to. So, but the most important thing we get in the room, senior person, who's in charge in the room? You or Novel? Who's in charge in the room? So I would be turned around and say, because you're a senior, you've been able to, I would expect you to lead. Should I think I need to support you with something, I may just whisper in your ear. During the procedure, I might need to touch your shoulders. Is that okay with you? I might even just sometimes tap your heels. Okay? So I'm letting them know. You might not feel comfortable doing that. You might just like say, no, I'm not going to touch you. It doesn't matter. But I let you know. Okay? So you know who's in charge now. You're in charge, but you've set a limit on what her. I'm not in charge.
So what he's saying is कि मैं इसका experience पता है कमरे में जाओगे तो ये इंचार्ज होगी लेकिन अगर इसकी भी एक लिमिट होगी you're not going to compromise the safety and other things but if you feel that she's not up to the mark you can just tell
30 minutes starts in a minute. 30 minutes starts in a minute.
I mean, 5 minutes.
No, you're off.
हमने इधर देखना है ये ट्रांसलेट होता है
नहीं जो हमारा डॉक्टर साहब ये
हाँ
ट्रेनिंग कर रहे होंगे आप इंस्ट्रक्ट करेंगे कि
ऑब्जर्व करेंगे वो सिर्फ ऑब्जर्व करेंगे